Welcome to the show, everybody. So, this is the Utah Story Show. If you are fairly new to this program, we're about evaluating and examining the major societal trends in Utah. So, the local news provides the what, right? What's going on? We want to provide the how it will impact your life in the bigger picture, the bigger story of Utah. So I've lived in Utah my entire life. A little background. My ancestors were Mormon pioneers and immigrants. And what I think is worth paying attention to is not just what's happening, but the things that are going down that impact our quality of life longer term. So I don't think that that's examined enough here in Utah. And I've been a reporter now for 13 years. So I'll give you a basic rundown of episodes we've examined recently. I'm going to pull up our YouTube channel so you can see. So the Californication of Utah, how will the mass exodus of California impact Utah? That was basically about our housing prices, our housing crisis. There's not enough affordable housing, way more demand than there is supply, as well as our growing homeless population. Did that about a month ago. How currency and banking are coming to a collapse and an end as I see it. But also a major issue, Utah's identity crisis. I feel like that our political leaders, our economic development directors, they're looking to California to see what we should do here. And I don't think we want to emulate California any longer. I don't think we want California's economy imported to Utah. That's my contention. But the last week I did 2 episodes, and I wanted to talk about these most of all. They were major stories. A healthy woman died from the COVID vaccine. And how it was being reported by our local news was that you should be afraid. This could happen to you. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be a little bit fearful in taking any vaccine or any major pharmaceutical drug, but that this happened isn't like a groundbreaking moment. There's been 9 million people have taken the COVID vaccine, and statistically, your chances of dying from the vaccine are far, far, far lower, especially if you're an at-risk person, than you are from dying from COVID. So the local news was reporting that in a weird way, KUTV News, and I reported on that. But the main one I wanted to talk about today, and I'm going to read some comments from this story, is should Utah trans girls be allowed to compete against girls? And the comments I got regarding this are extremely strange to me because I love getting comments, and we got flooded with comments. But I believe this is a pivotal issue because if we are afraid to speak out about this, or we feel like we're going to be shamed by speaking out against this, of course, women's athletics will be destroyed. It'll be destroyed by biological men who can't compete in men's sports, becoming women and killing it in the women's sports. And is that okay? That's my question. And I actually opened that up on our Instagram account. And wow, I've got some comments to read to you. This podcast in particular is all about Utah energy. Utah's energy future, Utah's energy present, and what we can do to clean our dirty air by producing better energy, renewable energy. Because I think there's a lot on the horizon that's not getting reported and that are not enough of our state leaders know about, that could dramatically improve our quality of life and our air quality here in Utah if we simply adopt. And so that's what I'm going to be talking about. So Utah is a high energy state. We have an abundance of fossil fuels. We have coal, we have oil, shale oil, natural gas, not to mention tons of minerals. We produce so much energy and minerals in this state. It's unbelievable. We're one of the biggest copper producers in the world. The same open pit copper mine also produces a ton of gold. We have silver mines. We produce potash, magnesium. We also have tons of uranium that was just sitting there if we ever need it. So, with this massive abundance of coal, we get 63% of our electricity from coal burning and 17% from natural gas. We get most of our energy by burning fossil fuels. And we actually have tons of refineries in Utah. We have refineries all in the northern quadrant of northern Salt Lake into Clearfield and Bountiful. We produce gasoline like crazy. We have a pipeline that goes from Wyoming and from Canada. And yes, we produce a lot of gas, and gas is cheap here, so we use massive vehicles to get around. We love our Chevy Yukons. We love our GMC trucks, GMC Yukons and Chevy trucks, Ford trucks, F-350s, full body, half ton, quarter ton, 3 ton. It's like we cannot make our trucks big enough. We love them. And so to accommodate these massive vehicles, we need massive freeways. And so we have these huge freeways for the size of our population because we have so much oil and gas to go around. But there's just one major problem with our giant vehicles, our refineries, our mineral extraction, our oil and gas extraction. That is, our air quality sucks. And it sucks big time. It is like the worst air quality in the world for the size of our population. And more of us get sick more often due to our air quality than any other environmental health factor. And so right now our population is booming. We have thousands of people who are moving to our state, and they're coming here from California like never before, as we reported on. And our energy future is more important today than it has ever been in the past because of that. And I think our political leaders are just not seeing it. But what I'm encouraged by is that more and more people right now are buying Teslas and getting solar power. I'm not saying I'm doing it yet, but a lot of people are doing it. And that is great because if everyone, I'm not saying Teslas clean the air, they're not going to clean our dirty power plants, but if everyone owned a zero emission vehicle and had an energy little power plant solar array producing zero emissions, overnight, our clean air, our dirty air would get clean overnight to a degree. Obviously, the mineral extraction part of the equation wouldn't get clean. But that would have a significant impact. And now it is racing up quicker than ever before. More and more people want to get into EVs. More and more people are installing solar right now than ever before. But can we get our air and can we get to a zero emission state or very, very low emission state anytime soon? I'm going to get to that. But before I do, if you like this content, if you like what I'm talking about, could I ask you to hit the like button? This is a Google / YouTube algorithm thing. If they see that you're hitting the like button, that helps us out a ton. So if you think you're going to like this content, you like what we're doing on the channel, go ahead and smash that like button. So what could be the timeline for eliminating fossil fuel emissions in Utah? So there's some pretty amazing news that I've been following on this front. It's the reason why I'm calling this the collapse of energy in Utah. What's happening with Tesla in the last 18 months is really encouraging. They just dramatically decreased the prices for their solar arrays. So I went on Tesla's website. I checked the cost of my own home, what it would cost to outfit it with a solar array, and it's unbelievably cheap now. If I were to get a solar panel array on my house, I could actually get it to pay for itself in 11 years. That doesn't seem like a lot. I mean, that probably seems like a long time. But if you think about it in this way, so the solar panels will last 25 years. If they do last 25 years, then I will be getting 14 years of free power after I've paid it off. And I still would have to pay about $50 a month in the summer. But that sounds like an investment I'm willing to make now. And it just seems there is a disconnect between the pushing technology and the consumer demand with what our state and local leaders are doing. because they must know that our dirty air quality and the impact it has on our health is the greatest downside to living in Utah. It causes bronchial infections, lung disease. We have the highest rates of childhood asthma. It's causing us to live shorter lives, and they know that. So why don't they kick in additional subsidies to expedite the process? Why don't we get this speeded up? I think it might be that we're so invested in fossil fuels in this state that maybe they're getting pressures from their special interests to not kick it into gear. But if they care about you and I, the actual residents, the 3 million of us who live in Utah, they would add additional subsidies. We have a state surplus right now. It would make perfect sense to do that. So, and Utah has some of the worst air quality in the world. So it's about time we get into gear and realize, even though we have these vast resources of natural fossil fuels just right below our feet, our health is more important than that money. So let's examine now what's happening on the technology front. So not only is solar per kilowatt hour getting a whole lot cheaper, what also is happening is storing this power is getting a whole lot cheaper. So Tesla has come out with this solution called a power wall. If you get a power wall, you're going to have like up to 4 days of backup power. But they're also doing power walls on a massive scale. They're building giant battery backup systems right now for Texas. So if you remember, just a couple months ago, Texas was doing blackouts because they were using too much power because they were hit with a massive winter storm. And they're finally supersizing their plans to bring their battery technology to power storage. And so Gambit Energy LLC, a Tesla subsidiary, is building a 100 megawatt energy storage project in Arlington, Texas, outside of Houston. And they'll plug into the Texas power grid, providing a backup system that will completely change the game so that it can provide energy to 20,000 homes during summer peak hours. So I'd encourage you to check out that story. It's quite interesting. And Tesla also has a giant battery array already set up in Australia, and it's saving consumers. They're just backing up all this wind power. And let me tell you why that's so important. It might not be obvious, because what happens is that solar power is easy to generate. I mean, obviously, if you have a solar panel, it's sunny, you're going to generate a lot of power. The problem, obviously, is when there's clouds. So, and during the nighttime, because if you are generating solar, you can actually sell your solar power back to the power grid for about 3 cents during the day. But the power companies have to buy power at about 14 cents per kilowatt hour during the evening. And so having the power backup systems and storing the power is actually just as important as having the solar power. I mean, and Tesla announced in their battery day that they've made batteries. They're now making batteries for way cheaper, and they're drastically decreasing the size of the batteries. Those batteries are going to be used both in cars and for backup power grid systems. So when we
put new cell design, we get 5 times the energy with 6 times the power, and enable 16% range increase just form factor alone. I want to stress, this is not just a concept.
And they're going gangbusters. So what they're doing now is they are building these gigafactories like it's World War III. They have a Giga Berlin they're building right now, Giga Shanghai, Giga Austin. This is in addition to their Gigafactory in Reno, Nevada. So their Powerwalls Megapack division is providing backup all over, and it's only going to get bigger. And I mean, if you look at Tesla as a company, what they are really doing is they're going to shake up the energy business just like they shook up the car business. Energy is going to be dumped on its head, and energy is going to be completely disrupted, just like Tesla disrupted the car industry. And only now, if you look at what GM, Ford, Chevy are doing, only now are they realizing they have to all dramatically move into the EV market, electric vehicle market. GM's putting $5 billion into their EVs. Ford and Chevy are also trying to play catch up. But in the meantime, Tesla is getting to be bigger and bigger and bigger. And so what's just so great about this is these industries, the government was trying to subsidize or mandate these industries change, creating all these CAFE standards for vehicles and these emission standards and trying to get them to move. It wasn't happening, but it's happening now through consumer demand. And as long as we continue this demand of not only buying these products, but demanding our political leaders do what it takes to help us clean our air, this trend will continue, and it's going to be great for us. So how soon will this happen, though, is the big question. How soon can we have clean air? It really depends on us. Are we going to buy into solar? Are we going to buy our own solar arrays? Are we going to buy our own power walls? Are we going to buy our own backup systems? And are we going to pressure our politicians to give us greater subsidies? That's really what it comes down to. There's an idea out there, or a term called grid parity, which means that as we buy more and more solar panels, they get of course cheaper and cheaper. But eventually, the alternative energy source will become as cheap or cheaper than the utility energy source. And Germany was the first one to reach grid parity in 2012 because their energy costs were so expensive. And so we're actually getting there now in the United States, where it's going to be at a point where it's going to be just as cheap for us to produce our own electricity than buy it from the power grid. And this is a great thing. So that's all I have to say about that for now. I encourage you to go out and do your own research and check out what's going on. I actually did some research to see what Rocky Mountain Power is doing. Surprisingly, they're investing a lot into solar as well. They have invested grids, solar arrays all over Utah. And go check out Utah Stories, and we'll have a lot more links for you. So now I want to pull up for you the comments that we've received from the transgender story. But before I do that, I want to tell you a little bit about our two sponsors, Canyon Meadows Grass-Fed Beef, as well as Green Bikes SLC. I'm not going to read their ads for you. I'm going to encourage you to click on their links so that they know that we sent you. There's special landing pages. Canyon Meadows has the best grass-fed beef you'll find anywhere. And Green Bikes goes well in line with what we're talking about. They produce bikes that you can use for very cheap all over Salt Lake City. Go visit them. So this is what happened when we put this on Instagram. I want to show you this. This is a picture of Cece Telfer, a lady, transgender lady, who just had, this is a success story produced by the NCAA, because we were looking in the NCAA changes to their regulations, allowing transgender girls to compete against biological girls. And this is a success story, they're calling it. CC, formerly Craig, won in the hurdles big time with her teammates. They killed it. And, good for them. But the obvious problem is that CC is bigger, stronger, faster, has way more lean muscle mass, has way greater bone density. And if what CC were on was a drug, of course it would be banned. But because she was formerly a man, that is okay in the eyes of the NCAA. And so do we want to see a lot more CCs, who he was very competitive when he was Craig, going into women's athletics? That's my question. That we just asked the question on Instagram. We didn't actually go in and tell people what to believe, but they're just by asking the question, we're getting basically basically people just shaming us like crazy. I'm disappointed and deeply bothered by the language used in this article. The article dead names and misgenders individuals. Additionally, referring to trans women as biological boys is offensive and inappropriate. I'm stating a fact that this woman is a biological man. Why would that be offensive? I don't understand. Then this person says this reporting of this article is offensive, sensationalized, takes information out of context. This is about your own transphobia. Try to pretend stop pretending like you understand this at all. As a woman, I'm concerned. There's no threat to women's sports. I play hockey with cisgender women, transgender women. Okay, I get it, but this is a biological man. That is a scientific fact I'm stating. And to shame me, to shame anyone for stating a scientific fact, that is the problem with the liberal leftist agenda. They don't want to debate these issues. I believe this is an issue that deserves debate. I believe this is an issue we need to talk about. I have a little girl. If in 10 years she decides to join a track team or a ladies' softball team or volleyball team, do I really want her to compete alongside biological males? And my answer is I don't. And so why can't we frame this as a scientific argument? Why can't we say things with a scientific basis of fact? And so luckily, there were a lot of people appreciating that we're bringing this out, and we were talking about it. And I think that if you're sensitive for articles or opinions other than your unfollow and keep moving and stop being sensitive about everything, that's not you. So that's exactly right. If you're afraid of constantly being offended by talking about important issues, like that you're not going to be in your safe space because we're talking about important issues that affect the future of Utah, I suppose you should be left out of the conversation. I suppose this is too difficult of a subject for you to mentally wrap your head around, and another person says that this is violence by talking about this issue. I think that is a tactic the leftist gender studies professors are using in order to actually create a virus in the scientific community, like don't touch this with a 10-foot pole. If you do, you're going to be shamed and ostracized and canceled. And I'm sorry, but I'm not afraid of you people, because I know what you're doing, and I'm not afraid, and we're going to keep talking about this. And that's how it's going to be. So glad to see that 69 of you liked that we actually are talking about this. Glad to see that we're getting a lot of comments on our Facebook and the YouTube channel encouraging us to talk about these things, because if we don't now, I think we'll end up in a future that's unrecognizable, and we'll wonder, how the heck did we get here, where all these guys are decimating women in sports and we're allowing it to happen. And by guys, I mean biological males. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. This has been the Utah Stories Show. My name's Richard Markosian. Visit utahstories.com to subscribe to our digital newsletter. We'll send you one single email every single week. And if you don't open it, we will actually automatically unsubscribe you. That's how it works. So it's a great way to stay in contact with us and be a part of the show. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.